Ladies and gentlemen, today we have some major Nintendo Switch 2 updates. I'm talking about just major. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, I probably could say it with some other words, but I'm trying to get my point across. We have huge updates about 2 upcoming Switch 2 games. We have some crazy Nintendo news, some really impressive Switch 2 news, and then a leak about a highly rumored game coming over to the Switch 2, and I think we're going to see it sooner than later. So let's go ahead and get right into this video. That's right, if the news that I'm bringing to you is major, then we have to talk about it. And that's what we have in this video. So before we get started, if you could hit a like and subscribe, that would truly mean the world to me. And follow me on Instagram and Twitter so we can keep these communities growing. And also, I just learned that there's something called like hyping the video. I think if you're on mobile, if you see the hype button, press it. It helps the videos do better, I guess. Now, let's go ahead and get into this video. So we're going to start off this video talking about 2 upcoming Switch 2 games, right? Both in the same genre, both highly respected and loved games when they were on other platforms. Now, when we're talking about the Switch 2 version, which way is this going to go? Which way is it going to play out? Are we going to get some amazing ports and be happy that we have them on the Switch 2? You know, sometimes these games do so good or look so good, you're like, well, I have all the consoles, but I'll just pick it up on my Switch 2, because why not? Well, first, we're talking about Persona 3 Reload. This is a game I could not wait to play. I love Persona 5 Royal, so I thought, yeah, I can't wait to play this. Now I have my PS5, but this was a game that was rumored for the Switch 2 like a year before the Switch 2 even came out. So I thought I would just wait. But this game just got a demo, and I do think this game comes out later this month if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to play this demo, it's going to be exciting, and then we're going to buy the Switch 2 version and we're going to call it a day. The problem was the Switch 2 demo is not great. This game is only 30 frames per second, which is crazy, but not the biggest deal when it's, you know, this style of a JRPG. But the problem is the frame pacing and how inconsistent the frames are, especially when you get into more taxing areas, and it's just a mess. And then you gotta factor in this game is $60, so fully priced, has no DLC, has bad frame pacing problems, and is a game keycard. It just seems like a super lazy port, and I think we know the reason why now. Persona 3 Reload devs initially wanted to port the game to both Switch and Switch 2, but that would have delayed the launch up to a year. Now, I was reading another article, and I think we're almost getting like the Switch version for the Switch 2. It makes a lot of sense as why the game is running the way it is. So in my opinion, I think this is a super lazy port, and I will 100% be skipping this. Now let's talk about another upcoming Switch 2 game. That is Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. We have an update about this game coming from the actual director, and then it just shows you the duality of games coming to the Switch 2. Same genre, both could have been amazing games. One seems like a lazy port, the other one seems like a damn miracle port. The director explained the reason why the game has that near CGI amazing look, like the quality is that good, is because they wanted to make sure they retained their lighting and reflections tech while compromising in other areas. While some textures or draw distance may be sacrificed, the high quality lighting makes the game look sublime. The Nintendo Switch 2 has great hardware specs. However, due to power consumption constraints, it's designed to dial back performance a bit in handheld mode. So since a straightforward port would not be enough to make the game run stably in handheld mode, now listen to this next part. We had our talented rendering programmers put in extra work on optimization. That explains the difference we're getting between these games 100%. And you gotta remember, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is a PS5 port, not a PS4 port, a PS5 game. I've already mentioned this once, but I read somewhere on Twitter that this generation on the Switch 2 is really gonna expose who tried for the reports and who didn't and who was just lazy, and this is a clear example of that. Now I know, for the most part, we're all fans of Nintendo over here, right? This is a Nintendo focused channel. There's a good chance you enjoy what Nintendo is doing. Not all the stuff, but for the most part. But lately, you know, we're like, Nintendo, what the hell's going on? Nintendo, why are you doing something dumb? Nintendo, cut it out. Nintendo, I'm about to ground you. Today, we have a big Nintendo W. Like a big Nintendo W. And it's just shocking news, but it's like we're living in 2025. Unfortunately, this is where we're at. Nintendo is lobbying with the Japanese government to push against AI. Recently, Asano Satoshi has been surveying Japanese Twitter on their AI opinions. In the above post, he mentions the result of the research, among which is this part. Nintendo is avoiding the use of generative AI to protect its intellectual property and is also advancing lobbying efforts with the government. So Nintendo is pushing back against AI 100% in Japan. You'd love to see this kind of stuff, man. I know there's people out there who love AI. I guess that's cool. If you're asking it about a diet or an exercise routine or some mathematical problem, I would still try to do this stuff yourself. I think we're getting lazier as society. But I guess it's almost like Googling, right? Even though it takes way more resources. Anything to do with anything creative, art, music, writing, making videos, any of that stuff is gross. It's truly gross to me because you're not creating anything. You know what I mean? Nintendo is so protective over their IPs, and we're seeing a bunch of AI companies I don't know the name of all of them, but one of them just put out a video showing their new system, and they were using Nintendo's IPs in it, and it's just gross to me. So I'm glad Nintendo is pushing back against this heavily. I just don't think there's anything good that could possibly come from the other side of that argument. And if you like the other side of that argument, well, then you're a big, stupid dummy head. Yeah, it's 100% factual what I just said. Now to circle back a little bit to the two Switch 2 games we were talking about earlier, Final Fantasy and Persona. I guess all Switch 2 games in essence. We know that Nintendo is using DLSS, right? I don't know the outs and ins of this, but I know it's a good thing, but could be taxing, right? It could take a lot of extra work. I'm missing the words I'm trying to find right now. There was a theory that Nintendo was potentially using two kinds of DLSS. And to simplify it, I think there's DLSS and DLSS Lite. And if you have both of these, it's better for game developers. More options, and will take, there's a word I'm looking for and I keep forgetting. I can't think what it is. Well, Digital Foundry just clarified all this, and now we have evidence that that is actually true. So Alex Battaglia? My bad, dude. From Digital Foundry, the Nintendo Switch 2 has two separate DLSS types. We asked a respected developer behind the scenes who is familiar with the matter, and they came back to tell us this. DLSS on Switch 2 has two types. One that is much like the CNN presets on PC, and one that has presets that are roughly half the cost in terms of frame time than the CNN model. And I think that would be DLSS Lite. So the one that's in PC we're seeing in games that are like Cyberpunk, and the other type which we're seeing in the Tourist, which is graphically just really, really impressive. So there's somebody in the comments that really breaks this down right here. Is this good or bad? Shout out to bro, you're just like me. It's a good thing overall. It allows the Switch 2 to use DLSS upscaling without it having too high of a performance cost. So that is great news about future games that are being developed. Like I said, I don't know the ins and outs about all this, but I do try to learn here and there. And then I'm sure you guys in the comments know a lot more than me, are smarter than me. So in the comments, clarify what this means or doesn't mean. But I think overall, it's just more positive news about the Switch 2 and development for the Switch 2. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we had this weird ping pong effect. 3 or 4 days ago, I was talking about a potential leak coming from Nash Weedle, where I thought he was talking about Rockstar Games and Red Dead Redemption 2. Then we learned he was talking about Max Payne and Alan Wake 2, but could circle back to Red Dead Redemption 2 because in the comments he said Red Dead Redemption 2 is still coming to the Switch 2 this year. It's like, okay, whatever. I think we have evidence of Red Dead Redemption 2 coming this year and getting announced very, very soon. So Rockstar Games has reportedly changed Red Dead Redemption 2 Steam page description for the first time since 2019. Rockstar might be gearing up for an announcement of Red Dead Redemption 2 Enhanced very soon, which is expected to include PS5, Xbox Series X, and Switch 2, and also PC by the looks of it. What's really cool is this is the enhanced version. It's not just the PS4 port going to the Switch 2, which I would be more than fine with. I'm playing Red Dead 2 on my PS5 right now, obviously the PS4 version. I'm 10 hours into it. Truly like a top 3 game of all time. It's better than 90% of the games that are coming out in 2025. It's incredible. But there's been rumored like a 60 frames per second version with some other stuff going on, maybe new textures or something, I'm not sure. That's the version that they're talking about here. That's the version coming over to the Switch 2. So this is very exciting. Something else you can take away from this right here. PS5, Xbox Series X, Switch 2, PC. Nowhere in there does it say Xbox Series S. So I'm sure this game would probably be on Series S, but it would be like the Xbox Series X version, so it wouldn't look as good or something. I really don't know how stuff works over there on Xbox, because I know there's some games that go to Series X but not Series S, or sometimes games will skip development on Xbox because it can't run on the Series S and only the Series X, so it won't come over there at all. Whatever. But basically, this game is going to be beautiful, taxing, but just incredible, great performance. The Switch 2 is going to be able to run that side by side with the PS5 and Series X. Will it look as good as those? Probably not, but damn near close. And sometimes, you know, I'm seeing lighting on the Switch 2 that looks better than other consoles, like in WWE 2K25. I've seen stuff that looked better in some instances on the Switch 2 than the PS5 version. Some of it is personal opinion, but just saying. So it's cool that we like started talking about Red Dead 2, then we started talking about something else, and then we circled our way back to Red Dead 2, then that died down. Now we're right back to Red Dead 2. I think this game is getting announced, if I had to guess, in November. That way it could be a huge holiday title, and then people can play that, and that will take us into GTA 6 sometime next year. But very exciting stuff, man. But ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about this? Because your opinion matters most. So in the comments below, I would love to hear from you guys. If you made it all the way to this part of the video, do me a couple favors. Like and subscribe, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, consider becoming a channel member, and hype up the videos. And in like 10 days, I'm going out of the country for an entire month or almost a month to a place in the world gamers don't think about. And we're going to make some really cool video game hunting videos and just some really cool videos, man. So be on the lookout for all that. But you guys know me. I'll see you very soon with a new video. Peace out.